Correspondent Allison Harris is all over it. Is this all about the comments about incursion versus invasion, plus the fact that the U.S. has been so closely monitoring the situation and very much vocal about what the penalties will be for Russia should they choose to advance into Ukraine?
Yeah, it's not really all about the president's comments, but they certainly didn't help. And this morning in Russia and the U.S., from both sides, you're hearing them downplay the progress that could be made out of these talks in Geneva. The president was really forced to further articulate exactly what consequences Russia could face if it does invade Ukraine. He predicts that is going to happen, but suggested that NATO allies might not be in lockstep outright on how to respond in strength, and that upset some European allies.
The White House, Vice President Harris, and President Biden all trying to tamp down the confusion Thursday, cleaning up the president's comments on Russia meddling with Ukraine.
I've been absolutely clear with President Putin.
The president strengthening his warning to Russian President Putin that invading Ukraine would be met by severe economic costs.
If any assembled Russian units move across the Ukrainian border, that is an invasion. Let there be no doubt at all that if Putin makes this choice, Russia will pay a heavy price.
The cleanup comes after President Biden muddled his message on what punishment Russia could face if it invades Ukraine during his lengthy and fiery press conference Wednesday, when he said this.
It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, etc.
Ukrainian President Zelensky firing off this tweet in response. We want to remind the great powers that there are no minor incursions and small nations. This playing out as Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with the Russian foreign minister in Geneva today after rounds of talks on the buildup of Russian troops along the Ukrainian border.
This is a critical moment. You're right. We don't expect to resolve our differences here today, but I do hope and expect that we can test whether the path of diplomacy, of dialogue remains open. We're committed to walking that path and to resolving our differences peacefully, and I hope we can test that proposition today.
And Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov is now saying that the U.S. is going to provide written response to Russian demands about NATO and Ukraine next week. Adrian?
On Wednesday, you did ask the president about the legitimacy of the upcoming midterms. What has the White House said about his? Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.